Okay, welcome back. So in this video, we're going to look at how we set up some moving heads. Now, unlike in the first video where we went straight to the patcher, this time let's go to the profile library and start from there. So you can patch directly a fixture using the patch and search through the profile library, or you can download profiles from the library to your local collection. And then you can use them locally. You can modify them. You can make changes before you patch them. So if you want to keep them specific, as you can see in my profile library now, I just have the mega hex par. I patched that directly, but when I patched it, it also got downloaded to my library. So it's there, and that's my local copy that I can modify and adjust. I can't delete because, as you can see, it's patched and it's in use. But let's go back. So now I've got some movers on this rig that we want to set up. They are some simple, some cheap sheds, 100-watt spot lights. So let's type that in and find them. There we go. And we are looking for the one with 14 channels. Yes, that's correct. So it's possibly this one. Let's give that a try. Download that. So that's downloaded it down to my profile. Let's check it. So we've got dimmer, shutter, pan tilt, speed, color wheel, gobo rotation, prism, focus. Yeah, so pan tilt, pan fine. So that's pretty much correct. Just gonna have a little check to see, is the color wheel set up in here? Yes, looks like it's set up. And the gobos, let's check if the gobo is set up by hitting on that and editing. Yep, we've got some gobos. So everything looks mostly okay. The dimmer is fine. It's going to be defaulting to its full range, which is correct. Now, these fixtures obviously have some more complexity. So this one's got a strobe channel, and it's pretty much set up as a basic strobe at the moment, but that's fine. We can always improve that later. So now I've got that profile downloaded. I can come in here, and you're going to see, as soon as I click on here, it's got my 100-watt spot moving headlight. I'm going to put that in the secondary group because they are movers and I want to separate them. It's a 14-channel profile. Now, in my case, they actually do start at Universe 1 channel 1 and are 14 channels, but we've got 4 of them. So we're going to patch 4, and that's going to get us 4 moving heads. Right, so there we go. We've got 400-watt spots and we've got 4 megahex pars. Now, just like what we did with the pars, we need to make sure that we've got the arrangement right. Now, in this case, we can see, if we just bring this up fully, that those fixtures have actually, as soon as I patch them, have dropped into their default position, which is very common, and it's very often you're going to see the lights in this position when they're first patched. Now, even though I want to check their arrangement, I actually would rather first make sure that I've got them in the right position. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first adjust their position so that when I do run the arrangement, I can see where the light is going, because right now it's pointing down and I'm not going to be able to see that. So let's pop off back to our hybrid shot there. And what we're going to do, we're going to use the pan tilt finder. So it doesn't matter which one of these you click on, you're going to find it next to the pan and tilt. If you had a fixture, for example, like a gig bar type fixture with multiple heads, then you would see multiple of these in that fixture. But in this case, it's just one mover. And what I can see is those are the defaults. Now, that's fine, but it's not pointing where I need it to point. And also, it's a little bit narrow. It's defaulting to limit my pan to 25%, and I think I prefer that to be about 40%. Whilst my tilt at 50%, that is correct because I don't want them pointing backwards. But in this case, I need to find the center point now. So I've just adjust that to about 40% for my pan and tilt. Remember, it's a 500, usually 540 degrees. So we're only using a proportion of that when we're hanging fixtures like this, and we don't want them pointing backwards. It depends very much on your setup, if you want the similar sort of forward facing or whether you want full rotation. But in this case, and in many cases, you really only want them pointing forwards usually. So now we've sort of set that width around about 40%. We can test that, but let's first adjust it. So I'm going to activate the Send Live DMX, and what that's going to do is it's going to output as I move this, and I'm going to start moving this about. and I can see those fixtures moving. So normally it's not a fixed rule. It does depend on the fixtures, but very often if they're standing, your center point is probably somewhere up here. And when they're hanging, it's kind of frequently somewhere down here. Now I'm just moving this about and trying to get them roughly centered. I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on that so we can see more closely where those lights are pointing. Okay, so it's almost dead center and it's pointing forwards. So I'm happy with that. I'm going to leave that there and I'm going to save it. So let's jump back to the main one. There we go. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to save it. So that fixture now is pointing in the right direction. The others are not, but that's okay. We're going to fix that. So what we're going to do to save having to set it up for all of them, now we've set it up for this first light, even though it's in position 3, but we're going to fix the positions next. What we're going to do is we're going to go on there. I'm going to say update the others. And this is going to copy that setting across all the other fixtures. And pretty much straight away, you're going to see they've all now started pointing where they should, which is exactly what we wanted to do. We've got them all pointing. So we've aligned them. And of course, now we've aligned them, we need to check they're in the right order. We know they're not in the right order because I was modifying the first fixture and it was moving the third fixture. So let's run the identification. So we can either run the identifier and it will go through every fixture one by one through the groups, or if we prefer, we can do it manually. So we can see now that it's running through them. But let's say this is what I see as my first fixture. And now I know actually that's in position 3. So let's put him in position 3. Let's test the next one. That's position 1. That's good. That's where it should be. Position 2. That's also good. That's where it should be. My 3 is now okay. And of course, then so forth. So is my 4th. So we can stop that and save the layout. So we've now got our fixtures pointing in the right direction. We've also laid them out and arranged them, and we can actually see that everything is working. If we want, you can also drop into the floor plan and you can adjust how your layout looks. You can move these down here as they are already in a lower row. Just hold down my control key and hit the mouse wheel just to spin them out a bit. Then I can select these ones, move them up here and spread them out a little bit wider and line them up if I want. And now I have a bit more of a floor layout for my lights. And obviously you can play around with that, save that layout, and it gives you a bit more of a visual understanding. You can highlight which group is which, so you can see quickly what lights are in which group. And that's the layout. That's what you need to get done to get things going. So we've done that, and now our move effects is active, and we can actually click on that and see that we've got movers in our second group. And if we want, we can start an effect. So I can click on circles, and that's going to start moving those lights in a circle. We can zoom in a little bit for you, and you can see that they're moving. Now, obviously, they're not outputting anything because we haven't run a beam effect. So we can just go in and put a wash effect on those groups, and you can see that those lights now lit up. I can turn off the main group and leave just the secondary group, which is running in that move effect. So we can go back here and see that together, and you can see that they're moving around. We can speed it up, and they're going to start moving a lot faster. We can also start fanning them so that they will be fanned in their. See, they've changed the fan, or we can put them back in sync, and we can also start changing the phase so that we put them all in and out of phase. So the fan will spread them, and the phase will add or minus time delay between the movements, so that whilst one is moving in its pattern, the other one is either ahead or behind it in the same in or out of phase. So basically you can push that in either direction and they'll go different directions. And here you have a number of different effects. We're running a circle effect now, but we could do a figure of 8, and then they will start making a figure of 8 pattern. Of course, again, you can speed that up or you can slow it down, and they're gonna react pretty much straight away. Now, there's a number of different effects in here. I think most of them are pretty obvious. Up and down is going to do an up and down. left and right is going to go left and right. Diamond is going to draw a diamond shape, and it's going to move in that kind of diamond shape across the floor. Eruption is going to move towards the top, to the bottom, sorry, and then it's going to rise up in a kind of eruption whilst there is some phase adjustment in there. Cross is going to cross the lights, as you can see, and it's going to draw a cross. Box is going to draw a box, which there's the shape. And arcs is going to go in smooth curved arcs across the room and back. Opposites is going to put your lights in the opposite to each other, as you can see. So it's going to create a kind of crisscross pattern that's going to give you that kind of effect. And then we've got some random. So random all is going to make every mover do its own thing. They're all just going to go completely everywhere and anywhere, but within the limits that we set when we positioned them, because when we positioned them, we didn't just point them straight. We also set some limits on how far they could move, because we didn't want them pointing backwards or going too far down, etc., etc. We can also run a random in pairs, so they'll go together in pairs in a random sequence. That gets you your basic effects. Now, again, these are manual, so if I want, I can also trigger the gobos. So the gobo is going to flick into action. If I select multiple, it'll rotate them around about every few seconds or so. It will swap the gobo. And again, it's applying this to the group, so the whole group is there. These movers also have a prism, so we can activate the prism, and that's gonna come on. And as I say, these tabs, move effects, beam effects, they're really about playing around, finding what you want, and basically figuring out what effects make sense for you. And that's it. You've got your movers patched. So now you can start running move effects, and obviously you can make some adjustments to those as you need to.